All right, so Stephen Higginbotham here with the advantages and limits of small niche targets. First off, what is niche marketing? I'll start off with the definition of a niche market. It's a sub-segment of a market. It's very small and highly specialized. A very small amount of people are targeted in niche marketing, and select few media are used, such as social media, television ads, online, newspaper, even phone calls. Here are some advantages to niche marketing. There's less spending and less risk because you're investing less capital into it, and also because let's say you have a really bad ad that you're sending out. Fewer people are seeing that. Niche marketing can be extremely cost effective when it's done right, leading to higher profits. Often with niche marketing, there'll be less competition because in a market segment, which is something like a demographic or a geographic area, other companies aren't reaching out to that same niche. It can create more brand loyalty because those customers who are seeing your ads are likely seeing them often, and will have it fresh in their mind, and they'll think of you as a reputable company when they need that kind of product or service. However, there are some disadvantages to niche marketing. There's limited room for growth because only a few people are seeing your ads. If you're targeting the wrong niche, that can lead to you getting no customers at all, which would be just a complete waste of the amount of money that you spent, even if it is small. No matter what, less revenue is going to be generated in niche marketing than with regular marketing. And the niche could be too competitive. You could have a lot of other people competing for those same customers, which would be a bad thing if that's the only niche that you're targeting. Or it could be very uncompetitive, which could also be bad because it could just be a hard niche to market to. Those people might not be in the market for the product or service that you're trying to sell. So niche marketing is very localized. And according to the Harvard Business Review, here are some reasons why localization is actually better than going national or trying to expand. So on the left-hand side, we have some big media companies like Time Warner, Viacom, Disney, and News Corporation. And from a time period from the early 1990s to 2004, annual shareholder returns were only about as third the size of annual revenue growth in terms of percent. So annual revenue growth for those companies was 15.5% on average, but shareholder returns was only 5.8%. Compared to the S&P 500, it grew 10.5% during that same time period. And then over on the right-hand side, you look at more local companies, like newspaper companies. Annual shareholder returns was actually more than double the annual revenue growth during that same time period. What's interesting there, if you look at the bottom, Pulitzer actually lost revenue during that time, but their annual shareholder returns was one of the highest on the list. So if you invested in local newspaper companies such as these, you would have actually made more money than if you invested in the S&P 500 by 2.3%. So also in this same HBR article, it showed supermarket profitability versus local market share. I noticed Publix is very high on the list, so I had to throw a Publix plug into there. Publix owns about 40% of their local market shares, and we know around here that Publix is one of the most recognizable grocery chains, but they stay concentrated in the Southeast. They haven't expanded to the entire United States, and that is typical for multiple grocery chains. So Publix actually has the second highest profitability at about 12%, and the second highest market share, only second to H.E. Butt in both of those categories, if I'm saying that right. So the verdict: sometimes niche marketing does not reach enough customers to earn you the business that you need. However, you can experiment with widening and narrowing that niche to see what works for you and is going to earn you the most profit. Yes, that can be troubling because it can feel like you're blindly throwing money where you're not sure how successful you're going to be. However, once you get to know your market, niche marketing is much more cost effective than mass marketing because the significantly lower cost of niche marketing can be lower by a wider margin than how much lower your revenues would be. Because remember, revenues are going to be lower with niche marketing compared to mass marketing no matter what. But the cost could be lower by a wider margin than the revenues are lower, meaning higher profits, which is what it's all about when it comes to making enough money to be able to stay in business. So here are the references I used, including that HBR article. And thank you very much for listening.